Hello, everybody. Today, I'm back, and I'm going to talk about Captain Marvel, and nothing special. Just oh man, Captain Marvel was not one of the worst movies out there, but I'm gonna say that I watched every single Captain America movie, and to be honest, I'm not a fan of none of Captain America movies. I was more a fan of the Avengers. I was more a fan of the Avengers. I was more a fan of Spider Man, and knowing that in the credit scenes of Captain America was Kevin Feige, and what else? There was Kevin Feige, the producer. There was Stan Lee. Come on, no Russo brothers, that's for sure. But why am I trying to say that? It's because he produced a bunch of great movies like Spider Man, all every single Spider Man with Tobey Maguire. Come on, and Tobey Maguire was a great actor for Spider Man. I mean, for the movie Spider Man, it was great. And there's people out there that's still gonna say, "Nope, nope, don't get Spider Man. I don't want Tobey Maguire Spider Man." But for most of us that grew up on that, because I grew up on Tobey Maguire Spider Man, and I loved those movies, and I still wish I could get it in 4K on my iPhone and my. I just want to get them in 4K. I just want to get all that stuff again in 4K, just like insanely good. So, what am I going to try to say about this movie? I I went in with an expectation that it was going to be good because it's just the name Marvel. And I've watched a bunch of reviews before going in anyways, and everybody said, "Oh, boring, boring, boring. This is like bland movie. Sucks. Nothing is good about this movie." And everybody said it was a feminist movie. And I don't really care about that. I don't care. If people put a great performance, it's a great performance. And if they don't, they don't. But look, I went in with to watch Venom also the day that it was in theaters, and then I said, "Wow, what a great movie!" But people said, "Oh, boring, bland. Why are you gonna go watch this movie that's super boring?" Like, look, Venom was a great movie, just so you know, and it was Sony. And what am I trying to say? That I was a fan of Venom. Like I went in with low expectations. Like I wonder what this thing is going to be because everybody came up with their own expectations and their own thoughts on. Oh, this movie looks bland, but that was before the movie even. I mean, before anybody went to watch the movie, they just saw the trailers and was like boring, bland, boring. And then when I went to watch the movie, it was not incredible, but it was still great. Like the whole movie was great except for like the fighting of I always have to explain that it's always the part with the where they fight the symbiote in the end when the rocket's going to space or the spacecraft. But that's not what we're talking about though. But I'm just saying that because people like to say good bad things about every single movie even if it's incredible. And then there's people that have incredible movies. I mean, there's times where people say crap about incredible movies, and then there's times where people say the best thing about boring garbage movies. So, Captain Marvel, in my opinion, wasn't one of the worst movies, but I just felt like this movie had a lot of potential, and Kevin Feige had enough time to bring out this movie, but it was so bland. It was so like I don't get it. They had a lot of potential with this movie because they could have put all kinds of CGI, a bunch of action, boring. And I thought it was going to be good because it just by showing LA, it's just like wow. And And then this movie is not even close to the Hornet, the Green Hornet, when it came out, because I love the Green Hornet, and many people are going to say, no, that was the most boring movie. Why would you choose Seth Rogen? So I thought this movie was bland. Like, the fighting scenes could have been good, but the problem is that there was no there was nothing. It was just bland, dark. You couldn't even see who Brie Larson was fighting. Like, you couldn't even see it. Just like a bunch of random lights flickering or random shots. And the problem that I had with this movie is that this movie kind of seemed, and it's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys want to say the same thing, but this movie just literally reminded me of his Tom Cruise's movie with Top Gun, and it also reminded me definitely a lot. It reminded me of Star Wars. Like, what this movie was like, it could have had a lot of potential. Plus, it's Marvel. You expect Marvel to be like, wow, because look, I don't care what anybody says about Iron Man. That was a great. Those were great movies, and even with the flaws of Spider Man's Homecoming, I still find Spider-Man Homecoming just better than this. I'm not lying. I'm saying Spider-Man was a better movie. Spider-Man Homecoming was a better movie than this movie. The problem that got me so confused was that I didn't even. I think they were all looking for. Let me explain what I think this whole movie was about. Like the purpose of this whole movie. The whole purpose of this movie was for Brie Larson to figure out that she was Carol Danvers, and then for Nick Fury, his whole thing was to go for the Tesseract. His whole thing was just to go for the Tesseract, and I kind of understand. I kind of didn't really understand most of this movie for me because I just felt like it was so bland. My bad. Let me just turn this off. Let me just shut this off. The reason that I found this movie to be kind of bland is because, okay, let me give you my reasons why I found this movie was bland. Like, the fighting scenes were bland. I don't care about Brie Larson's acting. It wasn't as horrible as people are making it out to be. Brie Larson was okay, but the whole premise of the movie was boring because, look, they started with comedy. They started with action, comedy. Then it was like everybody saying a buddy cop movie. That's like, it reminded me when you're saying buddy cop movie. It reminded me of Ryan Reynolds, and again, Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson when he did that movie. I forgot the name of the movie at the moment, but I don't want to search it up because then people are gonna say, "Oh no, no, don't." Okay, so Bodyguard is the name of the movie. Now that I have it in my mind, because Bodyguard was Bodyguard was a good movie, but it didn't wow me like, wow, one of the best movies out there. Wow, no, no, it was a great movie, but not insanely incredible. But that's how I felt this movie, kind of like a mixture of Bodyguard and superhero movie or herois heroine movie. Like, what? This movie was bland, and thinking of Captain America, like Captain America, the first one, was kind of. I understand what they were going for with that movie, which was still good. I don't care what anybody says because everybody likes to say what I just said, that is boring and garbage and all kinds of stuff for good movies. So Captain America was okay. I enjoyed it. I watched it. I liked it. Then we went for Captain America Winter Soldier. That one was still, I mean, that one I think became a little bit more boring, but it was still pretty good. But to me it was pretty much boring. And Kevin Feige should realize why his movies sometimes are boring. Like let me compare Captain Marvel, and I'm saying it right off my heart. Captain Marvel, not Marvel. Captain Marvel or Captain Marvel reminds me of, it definitely reminds me of Peggy Carter, or Agent Peggy Carter. That TV show was super boring, but the difference between Captain Marvel or Captain Marvel versus Agent Peggy Carter was that Agent Peggy Carter had a backstory that linked her to Captain America. It linked her completely with Captain America. Like they even showed parts of the movie in order to tell the story of who Peggy Carter was and what had happened during the airplane crash sequence with Captain America supposedly vanishing or just dying. But that one had a good actions. I mean that one had a good, not action, but it had a ton of good backstory to bring how she became Agent Peggy Carter I think in the World War, or I think it was like 1947 was when the show took place or something. But I kind of like that part of of Agent Peggy Carter, because it gave a backstory that she was part of Captain America's team. But it was just like some random flashbacks and just like boring thing. But let me tell you something. Look, Kevin Feige has produced some wonderful movies. He's definitely done all of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. He's done Black Panther, and Black Panther, to be honest, it had the same flaws as Captain Marvel, that it was dark. Some fighting scenes were very, very, very dark, that you couldn't even see what was going on, only because you could see the shooting when they started shooting guns. That's where you got to see like what was kind of happening. So I felt like he kind of combined that dark sequences in this movie. He just combined them and made everything kind of dark, kind of like bland. And okay, so we're going with he made Spider-Man Homecoming. That one was not a great movie, but still better than this movie. I can't express how boring and how much dumb this movie was. Like I just can't explain, because I was going with the expectations that it was going to be incredible. Wow, it's probably like Venom, where people talk all this smack about it, talk all this crap about it, and said boring. Why you make this movie? And then it came to that point where I saw it and I was like, boring. It was more of a Star Wars kind of movie, like a combination of Bodyguard, Star Wars, and then a bunch of like dumb fighting scenes that none of it made sense. It was just leaving a bunch of stuff out. Like they should have added more to the story. Like Spider-Man wasn't incredible. Like I said, Spider-Man Homecoming, because I already explained to you guys before that it was Iron Man that really ruined the whole thing for me. Iron Man, like Iron Man shouldn't have been in in Spider Man. He shouldn't have, but that's my thought, that he shouldn't have been in that movie. So this one, the best thing that I liked about this movie was just the end credit scene where I mean I didn't love it, but it was way better because you got to see that all of the Avengers had the pager where they were trying to figure out what the heck it was going on, and they could see like Carol Danvers, the logo on the pager, or they pressed on it and it activated the pager, and that's how Carol Danvers came back. That was the only scene. Like she said, "Where is Nick? Where is Fury?" And that's the only thing that was incredible about that movie. But for the most part, this movie was just sad. It wasn't like entertaining at all. And I have to say this one was, and I'm still going to say this. This belongs in the trash with this belongs in the trash with Agent Peggy Carter. It belongs in the trash with Jessica Jones. I mean, like Jessica Jones is is a superhero, but she's treated more like the TV show was treated more like like a mystery move, like a mystery TV show, instead of like an actual superhero movie. I mean TV show, superhero TV show. So that's why I didn't like this movie. Like a bunch of bad stuff. Only the cat. So, and some of the things that Nick Fury did were great. I didn't like I didn't like anything about. I mean, I didn't like most of the things Nick Fury did. Like Nick Fury running, he looked like an 80-year-old dude or 90-year-old dude, like barely able to like say they. It's like they beat him up, and then they said run after you're beaten up and your legs are useless. Just try to run. Like most of this was bland. I don't know what else to say. It's just like I felt like leaving the auditorium after watching it, and most people were laughing during the movie. Like how? People were definitely laughing and having a good time in this movie, and there's people out there that said, "What an incredible movie!" It's not incredible. Even the second Deadpool was better than this. Like Deadpool was incredible compared to this movie. So and I hope and I hope that they did something better in Avengers and Endgame, because that's just sad. That's sad. It's sad that they had to do that, and it's sad that they had to connect this movie with the rest of the MCU to try to say you have to go watch this movie in order to be able to understand what's going to happen in Endgame, and you have to watch Endgame in order to figure out what's going to happen, and that's how it's always been. That they say, oh, Endgame, you're supposed to watch in order to get to Spider-Man Far From Home. Like, for real? I don't appreciate this movie at all. Like I know that they were trying to get some 90s nostalgia type of movie that's like, wow, we're back in the 90s. And even Wonder Woman, everybody gets to say Wonder Woman was better. And yes, Wonder Woman was insanely better. And I hope that Wonder Woman 80 or whatever the name of the movie is will be better. And it's treated I think it's going to take place somewhere in the 80s, which is going to be some type of movie that's incredible. And I like to see I'm the type of person that likes to see a movie that's taking place like in the past, where they show where they show, oh, it's a superhero movie, but they're treating it in the past, in the 90s, in the 80s, but not so far, like, because it's like nostalgia. That's how it should be. Like, if you decide to stop doing 2020 or where the present, you do the past instead of the future. The past, and then you get to see what's going on in the past, and you get to see, there's Blockbuster, or there's Hollywood Videos, or there's let's say there's a Radio Shack, there's a Montgomery Wards, like just like random old stores that have closed down, or the city looks incredible, and that's how it should be. I mean, if you're going to actually do a good movie, like if you want to bring nostalgia, do it. But that's just me. Like, if they do something nostalgic to me, it's like, wow, thank you. But if they just do nostalgia but with nothing that brings nostalgia back, it's like, what's the point? Boring. Just like whatever. So I'm thinking this movie is just like straight out zero for me. Like, I didn't even get when it came to flashbacks and all kinds of boring things that were going on. Like, and and there's a bunch of people that said the same thing, like boring, like bland, nothing type of movie. So that's it. So thank you guys for watching. I guess I'll catch you guys on the next one with more reviews, or movie reviews or whatever, because I'm just sad that this movie didn't come out with anything I wanted. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.